Pyramid One Radio.
To call and to speak to Kelly, use these numbers. Dial 605-472-5765. Then dial the access code 608060 #. Then to join the session, which will be awesome. Congratulations, you are now ready. Tell everyone we expect 1,000 people listening on their phones from all over the world.
This is a Pyramid One International Network presentation. Good evening, and welcome to Conscious Speaks. Let me tell you a little about the host. Her name is KELLIE J WRIGHT. You all know her. Tonight, be a part of the conversation. What it means to truly love yourself. Free of judgment, fear, ego, pride, and jealousy. She says, we learn to undo what we have accepted or taken on as part of our perception of self. We are free from negative self-talk. Start a 90-day transformation, and she will assist along your journey. Whenever two or more are in his presence is how this works. Kellie's ebook is how she walked her mind out of doubt and fear, one blog at a time for 13 weeks, into loving and acceptance of self. The first step is the hardest, and it will become a way of life. Once we know we can free our thoughts from fear, the work becomes a staple item to the goodness it provides. Life is a gift. So make sure you choose to wrap yours in a world that is created by and lived on your terms. KELLIE J WRIGHT is a successful radio show host, self-love transformational guide, business owner and voice, and author at www.internaljourneys.com. Kellie is on a passion-filled mission to help individuals discover their own truth through her actualized process called the 90-Day Transformation. Now, may I introduce to you, the audience, to the entire world, to the universe, to the light, KELLIE J WRIGHT.
Oh, hello, Bob. Hello, everybody out there. How are you doing today, Bob?
Oh, we are here, believe it or not. We have someone coming into our home tomorrow and probably into the studio if I have anything to say about it. We got a new doggy coming.
Oh, you just touched my heart so deeply, because you're able to process that and fill that space, not taking a space, but fill a space, and to bring that joy back in your house. Sometimes people grieve way too long.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, no, that doesn't mean I stopped.
Well, true. It's not about grieving. Not, yeah, you're right. It's not about grieving way too long. But I do this. My friends hear me say it. Like I'm 49, so I've had several cats in my life. And if one was ready, getting near the end of its life, I think I've got to go find a new family member so that it can get to know this one. And then when Pandora was leaving, I'm like, I need to get my next new family member. So when Pandora's gone, I could say, don't you miss her too? I miss her.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
wanted them to
Oh,
know
yeah.
each other. And so sometimes if we miss that opportunity, we can wait too long because there's just this ache, right? And that all has to do with attachment and loyalty and contracts and different things. But yeah, you're right. The grieving doesn't stop. But
Well,
tell
but
me about it.
see what I'm doing is a lot of people. One person that I talked to in that this morning says, "Oh, well, you're just sweeping them under the table and
No.
wait. Let me tell you what I told her. I says to her, I says, I says, listen, I said, this is what I'm doing. I said, I am not sweeping anybody under any table. And I said, as far as my buddy is concerned, he will be a buddy waiting for me. He promised. When I go, we'll meet. So I said, I have no qualms. I said, I will need a farm when I go. That's how many animals.
You're doing it right.
Not
You're
not
doing it
counting
right.
not counting the rabbit, the rabbits, the hamsters, the guinea pigs.
All your squirrels that are out there.
Oh,
Everything.
I got them. Yeah, they come right to my door over here. But to add to that, I said to her, I says, we're not replacing anybody, or
Yeah.
we're not, doing anything like that. I said, what I'm doing is I'm adding to our family.
Yeah,
The
I
dog
agree.
was.
I agree.
Let me tell you what the dog was. The dog was on death row. They were going to put him to sleep.
Isn't that what was happening with Jake? You saved him, and he was in the hospital, right?
He was in a hospital and he had been really abused, really, really bad. So that's how we got him. And in this one, they actually have like a shelter that they send the dogs to that like either nobody wants or, maybe they're just not,
Older dogs.
nobody just likes them. I don't know. He's not old. He's only 2.
Oh, okay.
He's a baby. But
He's just a wee baby, yeah.
he's an Australian Cairn Terrier or Cane Terrier. I think it's Cairn, Carne, I think it is. But he's really, I mean, if I could get the picture, my phone just ran out of battery. But if I could get the thing up and I'll show it to you on the screen with the woman that's, that got the dog for me. But you know what? This shows one thing. There is a thing called unconditional love. And that love is what brought us together. Me, the first dog, the second dog, this dog. It's unconditional love it's an energy. It's like an energy line. That
Right,
once you're
and Jake would want you to give that love to someone else and give them the life that he had.
I'm not giving it to anybody. I'm sharing it.
Just sharing it. Yeah, right. I like it.
So that's another whole thing. And that, like I said, I've said it a million times, and that even what you're saying in your transformation, the work and things, this is nothing but sharing love and enabling people to not only share, but share with themselves.
To receive.
Share
to
with
give
themselves.
And receive. It's a circle.
Exactly. I mean, exactly. Once you share to yourself and realize to yourself that you are awesome. Once you know that, then you're going to tell everybody. You're going to run out in the street. I don't care if you're in your underwear. You're going to go out there and you're going to go, I am awesome. And it's going to work.
Everybody out there listening, that's Bob's morning affirmation. He does
serious.
on his walks with his puppy, Jake, who's now gone, but now he has someone. Jake's got a brother coming along, so he'll be able to start doing that on his 3 a.m. morning walks in Florida.
Oh, well, yeah, that's right. And even, even on a quickie. And then anybody wants to listen to an unbelievable show, and that Wednesday at 11 o'clock Eastern time, that's in the morning. 11 o'clock in the morning. I have to do this because it's coming from Singapore.
Oh, all right.
This is going to be some
Off
show.
the hook.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. This is really going to be. This is going to be, really crazy. I mean, let's face it. The shows that we have on this show, you can't touch them.
No, you can't. They're very awesome, and it's worldwide, and that's the beautiful thing about it. Worldwide self-love, worldwide connecting, and that's the beauty of it, right? To be able to learn how to love yourself, so you can really just be love, and then watch how far it takes you.
Yeah.
Takes you everywhere.
Yep. By the way, anybody want to call in? This is the number 605-472-5765, and your access code to come in is 608060 pound sign.
Yay,
or
use
hail.
it today. Save me. Lifelines.
I'm serious. Start calling, for crying out loud. I mean, if you want to talk and you want to get into this conversation, I'm giving you a free pass. Let's go.
Free pass. Definitely. It's that auto kick in you were talking about, right?
That's it. Yep. Absolutely. So, what have you been doing besides freezing? But you're really not freezing up there. And I would also be very careful.
No, it's cold.
I would be very, very careful too in it, because I just saw a report, and if anybody sees it, I put it on Facebook, and I think I have it on one of my blogs too. They were predicting earthquakes on the West Coast.
La 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 la. I'm la-la-la-ing that. I didn't watch it. I'm like, oh well. I like to be surprised if I'm going to get caught in an
Okay,
earthquake.
well, yeah, okay. They had said the West Coast was going to get an earthquake in 2 weeks. So I
saw the banner that you were like that somebody sent it, and I thought, swipe, nope, I'm not interested.
Serious.
Do you know that we have a choice, right? We have a choice to be overly informed, underly informed, to go with the moment. We create our world literally with our thoughts. So what we focus on, we create. So I thought, I'm just gonna. It's kind of like, this is my whole theory in life, and I talk to my clients about this a lot. I say I always expect everything's going to go in my favor, and when it doesn't, I'm like, oh, okay, what's next, right? So I'm just going to assume I'm not going to be in an earthquake, and then if it happens, I will,
Yeah, it's not going to,
it would be definitely interesting. I've been in little ones.
How far are you from the water?
I'm pretty far. I'm out by Mount Rainier, so if it comes near the mountain, if this mountain erupts, I'm gone. So I have to worry about it.
They're talking water, water and sloshing, bathtub in the thing. So hey, don't worry about it. You're cool.
I used to work on Mercer Island in Seattle. It's right off near Seattle, Washington, and I experienced one of the biggest earthquakes I was in, and this was. Oh gosh, when was this? The late 90s, 98, 99 maybe.
What'd you say?
It was like the whole building felt like it was on rollers.
Yep.
Because we're on island, and I was just like, this is crazy. Like that was it. And then when I lived in California for twice in my life, and I never had felt them as strong as I did twice in Seattle, but they were just 6 or 7s, and so that we didn't, and I wasn't near the epicenter, so we'll see.
That's right. So
Mother Nature has her. Everybody always wants to save the world. I'm like, the world doesn't really need saving. It's just we need to save ourselves so that we can help the world. But it's gone through an ice age. It's gone through floods. It's the desert had water at one point, and now it does. I mean, the world per se, as we perceive it. As we've studied it, it's always moving and breathing. She's alive, and she is more strong than any of us, humans or animals that are on the planet. We're all lucky to be her guest. So if she had a big old earthquake, I think she'd be telling us something.
Serious.
Like, it's enough, humans.
Yeah, don't forget, everybody, call in, for crying out loud. It's 605-472-5765. I can see how many people are on or coming on regular computers right now.
I want someone to call in.
And plus, you guys are quiet.
I learn every week by listening. And each week I'm like, okay, this is what I can do better. This is what I can, how I can do a better show, how I can be a better radio personality, how I can listen more, and it's something, I'll be really honest, if anyone's listening out there, this is how you get to know yourself is I know that people probably won't think this about me, but if I get nervous, I play with my fingers a lot and then I'll start talking a lot. So it's
Oops.
one of those things where when I first started doing radio, I learned so much about me and I started to become a good listener because I realized how much I wasn't listening. And
Hmm.
uh, we processed some things, how I was working with myself and others, and found out why. And it's a really cool journey to do transformation work, to study yourself, your movements, your actions, when you go fast, when you slow down, when you speed up, how you use your body to comfort you, or to disperse some energy that you're feeling. And so I encourage you, if you're out there, if you're interested about a 90-day transformation, it is so much. It's huge. It's really huge. It's great work too. It looks like we have a caller. We have a caller.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, yay!
Let me see. Caller on the area code 206. Who's on the line?
Diana Livingston.
Diana.
Yay! I'm so excited that you called in, Diana. Diana is a friend, a peer. She also helps me. She is my editor, helps me with my words. She's such a great editor for me. I've never had anyone who's able to work with me and my words so freely. I trust her explicitly with them. And she's also a student of the Self-Love Mastery course. And she sent me a testimonial today of how she just got inspired to talk about her journey thus far. And she's halfway through. And so I sent her a message and invited her to come share it on the radio if she liked. And so I'm pretty excited. What do you think about that, Bob?
Awesome.
So Diana's going to read her testimonial, but we could say hi to her first and all that.
Oh, yeah. So, Diana, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Hey, see that? She just had a smile.
I love your show. I just wanted to quickly say, I mean, what greater opportunity to have a radio show where you get these, these spiritual enlightening messages, and you can just call in, just say hi, or ask a question, or say whatever on your mind. I mean, what better platform could you ask for?
That's if you want to count it, it more or less comes down to what is on your mind, soul, body, and spirit.
That's so awesome. I love that. I love
See
that.
All four corners. I said out of the box, right? There you go.
Yep.
So, okay, Diana, which corner you want to choose?
Which corner? Oh my gosh. I was spirit-led to write and journal this morning, which I often do. But
awesome.
This morning, what came up for me were the two biggest spiritual lessons that I've learned through my own spiritual work before, but especially since working with internal narcissists, internal journeys, and of course, KELLIE J WRIGHT. So you were talking about sharing and receiving love, accepting whatever comes, but not worrying about it until it happens. And so that really ties into what I wrote about today. These are the two biggest topics that came up for me this morning. And you could probably do a whole series on each of them, but these are just my reflections as of this morning. And they are on the importance of self-love, which is sharing and receiving love, and balancing within our dark and light. Big topics, right? So here goes. You said I had a free pass. I've not really practiced this.
That's
but I'm
what we
just gonna
said.
Read what I wrote. I'm just going to read what I wrote. Life is interesting. It is magical and beautiful. We were born into a divine plan to experience its richness. So why would we want to fight against it or try to change it? Why do we not retain that genuine innocence and love of self we were born with? Because of society and domestication. Early on, we are taught the meaning of all the symbols around us, how to communicate, what is accepted and what is not. We agreed to many of these meanings because we did not know any better. But as we grow and learn spiritually, we see that we have a choice. We can unravel those agreements and see what serves us and what does not. We can choose. The biggest lessons I have learned with internal narcissists and internal journeys is the importance of self-love and the balancing within our light and dark. It is easy to love ourselves when everything is shining bright. I have gone months on end loving myself and my life, my spiritual work, my family, my friends, my job. To me, that is like skipping along a path in the northwest woods with the sun shining down brightly through the evergreens. That is my happy place. But then lightning strikes and darkness sets in. That's when it gets challenging. When a loved one passes, when we are faced with a serious health issue, when we break up with someone we dearly love, that's when ego, fear, and pride arise, and the mind steps in to fix it, control it, make it better. That is the job of the mind, but we don't always have to listen to it. Isn't it better to step back and flow in the acceptance of what is being presented? For that is reality, real-time, truth. It is our past conditioning that tells us things need to be a certain way. I am slowly learning to embrace all that life presents, the light and the dark, realizing that they are both essential for life-changing growth. Accepting and moving through our darkness is what brings the greatest blessings. So why do we tend to fight it so much? It balances our inner peace. Every time I go through a storm and can understand and receive the gifts that were given, I think, okay, next time I will do this more gracefully. I even experience joy when I see darkness coming. But sometimes it hits and I start spinning around in the circles once again. It does get a little easier, though. Each time I find I process it more quickly, using the spiritual tools earned and gained, and don't stay stuck for as long of a time. Still, it can be a challenging and slow process depending on the weight of the growth lesson. Practice, practice, practice. But what else would you be doing? To grow in, learn how to be loved, acknowledge self-worth, and trust in Spirit God. I've learned to love myself even while staring at all my imperfections. I think that is key. Life and creation are perfect, and I will never be perfect at living it. There are always deeper lessons that Spirit provides to help us open our hearts further and know our soul's true desires. But I do accept wherever I am because I could be nowhere else, always looking for the many drawers behind the door that hold the keys to truly be who I came here to be. So that's what I wrote.
Oh, so beautiful, Diana. I love that. And you sounded amazing. Your energy sounded amazing. And that's just beautiful. I'm so proud of you for calling in to share it. I know that's hard sometimes.
Yeah, but I just want to contribute and be a part, and hopefully it will encourage other people to call in because, I don't know how to be on the radio, but I try.
You just were.
You just were.
You just were. You just were. And you just did it perfectly. And if you remember, I have mentioned that to you early on when we first were doing our work, that you'd be great at it and you'd be great at being a blogger and you'd be great at this work and that you're amazing. And every day you embrace your true beauty more and more. And I see you fight your dark, and I see you call and ask questions, and I see you autocorrect, and I see you working, and that's why it's happening. I hear your voice now, and I compare it to the first video check-in you did, and it's, if you listen to that, if you went back to your first video check-in you did on Facebook, and you listen to this show tomorrow, you will have your proof. You'll have your proof. You'll see your frequency. You will witness your frequency. That's why I love transformation work. When we live and grow out loud, when we document our journey, when we can look back at what we've written down, we actually see our leaps and bounds, right? You do great work, Diana.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say, too, she can also go on the landing page, the main page for the station, and on Wednesday you'll be able to watch this video and listen to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And
it
you
helps
sounded
me
really
so
good.
much. At least I didn't cry this time.
I know, but you were. Yeah, come on now. You were in there. I heard it a couple times.
I heard it a couple times too,
Yeah,
almost.
got a little knot in the throat, but that's okay. Don't worry about
A
a thing.
little bit of that, but it's definitely what's the word? It makes sense with where she is and what she's processing right now, and that she was able to maintain not going over that edge and read her writing shows a true professional there. She did really great. Don't you
Oh
think,
yeah.
Bob?
Come on. She feels the words she's saying.
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
why you will
that's
get the
why.
knot because
You
you
can't.
are the
Well,
words. Yeah,
Yeah,
you are
you
the
are the
words.
words, right?
that's
It's a
one
bunch
thing
of
you can
self-love
always count
pancakes
on
you just
me.
had, you know?
Did you hear that?
No,
No.
what'd she say?
She said you can always count on her.
Oh, thank
You
you.
can
Well,
always count
I
on me.
will.
No,
She's
no,
part
I
of
didn't finish.
my dream
I
team.
didn't finish the sentence though.
Go ahead.
Mm.
You can always count on me to have emotions in my words. Is what I was going to
Oh,
say.
But that's perfect.
you know, the truth is we all do. Um, Motion is energy and it's frequency. So anyone who's talking is showing an emotion of it's just where are they on their shine bright scale, right? What frequency are they in? Are we tired? Are we happy? Are we going through something painful? Are we going through something exciting? You know, there's happy tears, sad tears. I'm really kind of tired personally of crying these beautiful happy tears because I've been taking a lot of breaks lately to taking my mind for a walk, and I've been watching a lot of these movies that are killing me, those slice of life movies, as my brother-in-law Eli calls them, where you're just like at the end you're just like, oh my god. And I'm just like, ever since it was I went through a huge a breakup that was very bad right after my divorce, and I ended up. Oh, I hate it when this comes up. Okay. So what happened is I didn't
Deep breath.
process my
Deep
divorce
breath.
properly. Yeah, deep breath. After my divorce, I was in a lot of denial, and I didn't process any of it really properly till years and years later, probably like 4 or 5. And that
Ouch.
was over 13, almost 18 years ago. And so, but I ended up going into a rebound relationship right after my divorce. I wasn't divorced yet, but we had separated, and it was like 3 months later I met someone, and I wasn't going to date this person because I'm kind of traditional, and I know that sounds weird, but it was like I was still married. It was too soon, and everyone kept telling me, if you didn't die, it's not your fault. Life goes on. This was my advice from my friends. I'm listening to it now and I'm laughing. So if you really like this person, go for it. And literally my ego, which didn't want to deal with anything, was like, okay, and I would never change anything that happened, but I ended up moving to San Diego, a couple years later after that with the breakup. But what happened when we broke up, or not a couple years, but a couple months, but I processed everything at once. Like when we broke up, I literally lost it. And it's because I hadn't grieved my first marriage. And I was so right into a really emotional relationship again with someone who I considered a soulmate. And it was really intense. And then I lost it. I cried for 2 days. I wouldn't get out of bed, and my eyes swelled up. Literally, I couldn't see. And so ever since that day, I always say I broke my eyes because if I cry
Ouch.
even a little emotional, real tears, I have swollen eyes the next day. And that's what I've been having for a week because I keep watching these movies. So, to caveat that into what Diana was saying about I spoke without emotion, I didn't cry. It's really interesting because I told myself when I watched these movies, I said, why are you watching all these things that are making you feel things that are putting you over the edge? And I think as human beings, and you can jump in here, Bob or Diana, we all want to do our spiritual work. We want to learn how to be able to choose what we feel, but the journey is to learn, is to feel, right? But it's not to be ran by our feelings, to experience loss, but to not suffer, to experience love, but to not lose ourselves in it. What do you guys have to add to that?
Oh, I'll let you go first, Diana.
That is huge. I watch Hallmark movies. I can't believe that you don't cry, Bob, because I would gladly lend you many of my tears.
I'm serious. I just, I even when my best buddy and that went in my arms. I mean, I had like maybe one in each eye, and that's it. I mean, I really for years and years and years. I get the feeling. I get the, you get the like somebody just hit you in the head with a rock kind of feeling. But that's about it, because my feelings are so much more, like, for instance, crying and all the stuff and that people go through and things. To me, it's the way they are, and that's their thing. Mine, on the other hand, is in my mind, I have well, how would you say it? Sort of a library of my feelings, and it's something that I take and I put it away. It's there. I had it. I felt this way. This is the way I feel, and I will feel that way forever. But I'm not going to take the world around me down at the same time I go down.
So you're putting your feelings aside for the sake of the world and others? Is that what I heard?
Hold on. Diane was talking.
Oh.
What, Diane?
I just said I think you are very good at compartmentalizing, which I very, very much admire. I wish I work on that continually. You compartmentalize so that you can choose what you, choose what you are feeling and choose to feel. I wish I could do that better.
As I said, when somebody leaves, when I lost my son, for instance, I mean, that was the biggest thing since my father passed away that really, really got me. On the other hand, I am a spiritual person. I do believe in spiritual sides. I have been an NDE once, so I've been on the other side. All I could do was say, "You dope." That's what I said to my son. "You dope." And, that's about it. And in fact, other people that I've had on the show and other psychics, mediums, etc., came back to me and told me that he said, "Sorry." And that was about it. So, I mean, we have from two sides, two complete different dimensions. We have an understanding.
Yeah.
We will meet at another time. And I know he's in my heart all the time.
And it's important to be able to compartmentalize, but it's also important to be able to process our feelings. And so if we're not feeling them, if that's true because we have this great understanding, that's one thing. If we're denying them, that's the other. And only the person who's feeling it will know that. Sometimes we don't know that we're not processing something. I was in complete denial. After my divorce, and then it took me so long to even figure out that I had to do this work, and almost 20 years, and because you just keep going forward. I felt ashamed. I was full of pride, everything that I thought that it was meant to be, versus not. So that was how I compartmentalized it. I just didn't even know I was in pain. And I think for a parent that's grieving, I would never understand that process, although I've worked with clients and I have friends who have lost their child. And so not being a parent, it's something that I can't never truly understand. And so I leave those, deeper reflections and revelations for them. So I honor him, his sorry, and I honor your calling him a dope and knowing that you'll meet each other later.
I really, really did. I mean, the thing here is, and this was my rule a long time ago. And I mean, God, somebody said to me today, "Hey, you really look good for your age." I said, "Yeah, well, I got three legs in the grave already, so don't worry about it." But I said to someone one time, and they kind of sort of were frozen, where they were standing. I said, "A son should never go before their father. Never, never. It wasn't planned that way. Things happen. So whether or not you can say, there's a how would you say it, a structure to our universe. Our universe revolves and things happen because they're going to happen. It's just one thing follows the next as it goes. You can change it by either believing in or your own spiritual vibes, your own energy, and that can change these things too. But it's a weird feeling, isn't it, when something like that happens? Because now, okay, I'm the last one. He was supposed to be the last one. Oops.
Right.
I mean, here's where Diana, you're gonna enjoy this. My father's name was Charles Robert. Okay, my father was Robert Charles. I'm Junior, and my son was the third.
Wow.
So I mean, that's it. the line stops here.
Hey, Bob, we have something in common.
Do you really?
My line stops here too.
Oh, well, there you go.
I am the last in my. I have my sisters. One is my stepsister. One's my half sister. But they are my sisters, right? We've grown up since we were young. But I am literally the last on my leg of family tree.
There you go. There you go.
So
Well,
my mom and my dad. I was my dad's only child, and I'm not having children. So yeah. So you and I have something cosmically in common.
It's
A
not
lot
bad.
of things, really, but
It's not bad. And Diana, you probably agree with me. It's not bad being the root holding up the tree that's holding up the rest of the world.
is that why it's so heavy here? It's interesting that you say that because this was the quote that came to me during meditation at the beginning of the show. I thought I was feeling melancholy, but I realized I wasn't. It was just the weight of the world.
Bingo.
Bingo. I was like, I'm feeling a little melancholy today. No, it's just the weight of the world.
Yep.
And that's how it goes, right? And life keeps going for those that are here. We were talking about Jake leaving. We're talking about your new dog coming at the beginning of the show. We're talking about transformation work. Parts of ourselves die in transformation work. It's a rebirth. It's a resurrection. Just like trees and spring and nature and people and the whole circle of life. It is something that keeps just going. It's a big machine. And that auto kick in. It's one of those things where I've thought about this a lot, and it just, and I was watching 4 Weddings and a Funeral. That's what I watched yesterday. I don't know why.
Why?
But I was crying at the end. And, and the thing is, death is for the living. Those who pass on go back and they're just free as far as we know. And you said you've been there on the other side.
Oh, yeah.
And we're left here processing and doing our work. And so it's just one of those things where you think, oh, it's really important. I think it's really important for us to still find joy. I think it's one of the most important things for us to do is to still be able to find joy, to love someone when they're not present, but always here, if that makes sense. But, everyone has their own journey. Everyone has their own path to walk. And we don't know, that lineage. That cellular memory, the somatic memory that we carry, things that come from past lives that we're processing, unless you have been shown, we don't know all the things that we're working through. And I always thought about it, and I could be very wrong, and I hope it doesn't sound rude, but you think about Marilyn Monroe and James Dean and Elvis, they always show those pictures, the Street of Dreams, when they're in that cafe.
It's on the side of the building, yeah.
Yeah, and it just is like, it's one of those things like, well, was their work done? Spiritually, this is how I think. Like, did they finish the last thing they needed to do, and now they never have to come back? Or what was, when people's lives are what we perceive taken early, because literally it's really what happened. Is it because they finally got that moment and they didn't have any more work to do, or why were they called back, right? And everyone gets a choice to how they process that and learn how to move with it. But I'll tell you one thing: when we have self-love, it will help you find more peace in those moments, because we have the ability to not have all these things pinned on that person to make us happy, to complete us. And that's a lot to pin on anyone, whether it's a child, a spouse, an animal, a job, a place. They always say you can't change persons, places, or things, but you could change yourself. So it's always, always, always back to us. How do we perceive ourselves? How do we perceive our world? And is it good enough, right? For me, I was at a point where I was just like, this broken record, as we talked about last week, was not good enough. I knew all the skips. I knew all the places. I knew how long it was. It was like a record going round and round. And I finally was able to, after looking at it for so long and trying to ice pick away at it, open up a doorway. And so transformation work does that. And you're never too old to do this work. You're never too young to do the work. I always say the more that we can learn spiritually on our lesson here, on our journey, we don't have to come back and learn that one the next time. And I do believe it's my last time here. And that's for many things I've been shown.
Wait a minute, it's your last time here?
Yeah, I have to come back to Earth. I don't have to come back anymore.
Oh,
and that's
wait. Yeah, I can hear Diane Diana's she's like beside herself when you said that.
She's beside herself that you said that. She's heard me say it before.
Well, let me give you a little insight, okay, about this whole comeback thing. When you're gone, okay, you get a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You can come back. Now, how do you know what your soul is going to say?
It's just been shown to me with my life path and with all the work that I've done. And then I really do believe.
Yeah, but that's better.
You said this root thing here being the last root on this tree.
Uh-huh.
It's one of those things where it just kind of really was that aha moment for me. Like it's like, I think that, if you have children and a lineage that carries on after you, I think that would, personally for me, and I can be totally wrong, this is just my version, I think that would be a great draw to come back, right?
All right.
But if you don't have that, then maybe that would be your ticket out.
All right. Well, what do you see? This is my thought. My thoughts. And all right, what do you do when it's the end of the tree? Like I said,
Lord,
it's the end of the
if I
thing.
knew, I would definitely tell you.
Okay. What I do when it's the end of that tree is I start a new one.
Oh, that's very courageous of you.
You
could have started a new tree. I love that. You're a Taurus. You're just like, I will do it again.
I'm sorry. I'm a very earthy kind of guy. So, I mean, it's like, hey,
I'm an Aquarius. I'm an air sign. I'm like, I want to go back out into the solar system.
Somebody said at one time, I have the patience of a god. And I'm serious. I know
what that patience is, because I study time, physics, quantum physics. I study Earth. I study human beings, the soil, geology, anything I could look at that connects. I look backwards at it. And I don't know if any of this place has to do with patience more than desire. And the whole system is built around desire. So that seems to be more of a godly.
It's more or less just moving. It's just moving forward. It's moving forward at all times, no matter what.
I agree. I in my spiritual environmental class, we were talking about the Big Bang, and that I just don't even know if that's real. But ever since that place, people were talking about what happens, and I said it's just a slow fanning forward. It's just literally everything just fanning. Creation is just always fanning forward, as far as I can see, and time is different down here, even as it is in outer space. If you gauge If you go up about 44 miles into the atmosphere, that's about where things start to shift. And so the air and gravity and the space that we have in between there and even outward, I mean, there is no sky. It's not a real thing. It's just a reflection. So once you get past all that, there's just so much to encompass. And so time, distance, speed, relativity, all of it create the gravity that creates us being here alive. It's beautiful. And so whether we're patient or whether we're desiring, whether we are seeking, whether we're completely happy in our bubble, all of it's beautiful. But I will always bring it back to this. Do what makes you happy. Find your joy. And then be that, and then you will have no qualms with everyone else. Then people will start living and doing and being versus in a love-based world versus fear. Fear drives people to do maddening things. Even just simple good people. I mean, there's literally a law. I don't know if in some places it's still intact for crime of passion, where if you caught your wife or husband cheating, or maybe it was just your wife, you could kill them and get away with it. I mean, this is how law changes throughout time.
on what planet? Come on now.
When you study this world and what it's doing, it's just trying all the time to figure out better ways to be patient and desirable, or to use patience and desire at the same time. What are those two things? They're a balancing, right? Opposites, trying to balance the opposites to find peace. But until we can really, and I'm working on this blog with one of my clients today in the innate journey. The innate journey is a spiritual journey after the first 90-day transformation that goes way deep into thinking, time, space, what we have, what we don't have. And we're working on big this week. And it's the spirit journey. And the truth is, if we're going to come here, I said it last week, I'll say it again, we're not here to plateau, we're here to evolve. Wouldn't it be beautiful if we all could wake up to that and try to figure out all together in real time how to make this place better? But if you look at it, everyone wants to go back, and it's good to look back, but even I look back now and go, why are you still studying everything? Like, let's be in present, let's move mountains in real time. But everyone wants place markers. They want you to prove all these things to prove what they're experiencing is real, instead of having faith. And what is faith but trust, love, compassion, hope? And so when we take all those things, as Bob says, once we free what Bob says about the auto kick-in is right with internal narcissists and internal journeys. We want to free our mind from fear to seek the soul so we can shine bright in the hues of our own intentions. That allows us to shake off that stuff he was talking about so we can go on autopilot. All right, I'm a powerful creator. I can create joy. And at Internal Journeys, we are a huge self-love community that really tries to bring into life the sweetness of it, and that it doesn't have to be so huge for it to be beautiful, that we could find beauty and peace in the mundane, right? Sometimes I sit around and I look, I'm like, I'm doing nothing. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. There are times where that would have held water in my life. I was never home. I was always running in and out my front door to find my whatever it was that was distracting me, because I didn't know how to have inner peace. I was not comfortable in my own body, so how could I be comfortable in my own home? It's easy to understand, but yet it's not a simple thing to process. And so if you think about transformation work, if you think about love, if you think about trying to process, as Diana said in her check-in, when she was doing her testimony, when you go through a breakup, when you lose a loved one, when you have to put an animal down, when lightning strikes, when something big happens in the middle of your bliss, which is going to happen, transformation work allows you to move through it quicker each time, at more peace, and actually learn how to be the rock for the people who haven't done this work. Wouldn't you agree, Diana?
Yes, I would. I would have been stuck for weeks or months, if not longer, or not even knowing how or where to turn, even with my previous all my previous spiritual studies that I've been doing since I was 13 years old. If I hadn't had these tools, I would be so stuck. And now I find that I can move through them at least quicker, more easily. I have tools that I've gained and earned, and people I can reach out to and call and get that reminder, like, oh yeah, that's right. I can be self-love. I can love myself through this. The universe is working for me, not against me. I'm going to find the spiritual lessons.
Oh, yeah. God, are we awesome or what?
We are. And what Diana said is so
Seriously.
amazing, because the truth is, it doesn't mean that bad things aren't going to happen. It's that we have a choice on how to process it through love or fear. And it's happening either way, so why not choose love, right? What we focus on is what we give our attention to. And that's what brings
what Kelly hopes to is.
Yeah. And that Diana's really she's amazing at learning this work, because she practices it and she reaches out. When I only work with 12 clients at a time, and that's because we're in a relationship. Like, I'm literally on call, and if you get stuck or if things happen, I'm there to help you, remember of the work you've done. You have to experience. I was walking around with Freya yesterday, and I was talking to myself and God and the universe, and I was like, it's interesting, that people are trying to do self-love work, but until you experience the work you're doing, you can't be it. So that's why you find people who've done work and they're still stuck, is they haven't experienced the assimilation. I would say when we have that aha moment, it assimilates through our DNA. Like, it just quantifies through all of us, our cosmic and our internal, and we change because we've blown open that door, we've dropped that veil. And when we have that experience, that sets that new precedence, literally law of our agreements within ourselves going forward. So we have a new page to flip back to each time lightning strikes. And like Diana said, it doesn't mean lightning doesn't strike. Like we talk about in the 4th week of our work in a 90-day transformation, it doesn't mean you're Susie Sunshine every day. That's not what shining bright is, and that's not what self-love is. Self-love is finding out who you are, who you came to be, and then honoring that frequency, your personal harmonic frequency. That's your shine bright. It's not about being happy all the time, and it's not about, always being positive. That's not what self-love work is, because it's not a natural state, as we've talked about before on the show. Like, to be in a state of grace all the time means you literally have to be not thinking, and you have to be focused on that living meditation. And that's something that takes a lot of work and a lot of practice. Just being able to not fall down that rabbit hole when lightning strikes, and see that you've recovered quicker each time, is enough to keep you coming back to this work. I think so.
Yes.
Don't you agree, Diana?
Yes.
Well, and I'd like to say that I think with the work you've done, and it's something that we talked about at the beginning of the journey, I said that when you are able to start being this version of yourself that you're perfecting, it will help you get to start showing others how the work looks. We can't tell people about it. People can hear you, but when you emanate it, then people feel it. And so I'd say that you probably have been, because of this work and your recent experience of what you've gone through with, your health, and with the minor surgery that you were talking about, you've allowed to be a state of grace for your family, and really probably been more of a comfort to them than I bet.
Yeah, it's a real process of going through what I was talking about before, like when lightning strikes and say I'm going through a health issue right now. So how do I handle that? How do I look back on my spiritual tools and really use them? Do I really believe them? And that's the time for practice, severe practice, sincere practice.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that change of words, sincere practice.
Yeah. But at least I have them, and I'm so grateful for them, because, it does take a lot of practice, but it's like what I was saying before, when the darkness comes, when the storms hit, that's when the real challenges and tests come. But those are also the greatest gifts if you can just allow to accept them, that this is what Spirit God is giving me. And you always come through to the best gifts and the best lessons. So why would we not want to participate and engage in these truths that are being presented to us? And why do we fight against them? It's liberating and freeing if we can just let go of our minds control and ego and pride and fear, and just say, okay, step back and go, okay, this is what's happening. What am I supposed to learn here? It's hard and it's challenging, but it's a much better way than just going into total fear and ego.
Total freak out mode, right?
That's kind of the difference between that's the difference between a brick and a sponge. And let me tell you how that works. And they can both be the same size too.
So funny.
It's true. The brick is the one that's clogged up with the ego and all the rest of the things that they're way down on our shoulders that we really, really don't need. And the sponge is the feeling that you have once it's all gone. You're ready to take in anything. So
I love it when we shift through fear, because it is a weight. It's like a blanket. I talk about it at the end of the 90-day transformation is the 3-part series on pain. And we work on the yin and the yang of pain. And when you walk out of that, you walk out of this transformation completely a different person, but someone you love and you've been waiting for a long time. And it's, I always talk about pain and fear. It's so I find it symbiotic, like a blanket. It wants to wrap around us and comfort us, but we have to rail against it. It's an intruder. It was there. We used it when we didn't know better to protect us, and now we have to slowly love it through, because that blanket is pretty powerful. Those veils, the masks, the armor that we built around us to protect us, it was put there when we didn't know better. It was put there when we didn't know better. And so it became stronger and stronger over time. And it doesn't want to let go, because its job is to keep us from the one thing that we put it there to protect us from, and that's love. And we don't know that when we put it there when we're little. We don't know that when we try to not get hurt anymore, that we're rejecting the one thing we truly seek, and that's love. That's the flip. And it's a powerful transformation journey. You will find out things about yourself that you didn't know. And some of it you'll laugh, some of it you'll wince, some of it you'll smile. And a lot of it you'll just love so much, because you get to start to be free, which is another thing that Diana spoke about in one of her check-ins last night. And it's a week's work we do in the transformation is, how do we honor our commitment to others and keep our commitments to self, and what does it mean to be free? And so, think about that. If you're questioning transformation work, think about that. If you don't know how to let go of memories or things that are keeping you and others hostage in your mind, think about that when you want to make room and be able to, like Bob does so gracefully, shift. I haven't met anyone in my life who was able to process and that shift so quickly and still honor that he wants a dog. He'll get one. I'm like, if Freya, if she goes before I have another dog and I have a problem, I'm gonna call you and make me go get one.
You know my number. Just dial it up.
Nothing is more brilliant than a dog. I'm telling you, it's the best experience that's ever happened in my life is having Freya. She taught me how to be. She taught me how to be human. I'm an air sign, just like Diana. Our head's in the clouds. We're always about knowledge, and we're ethereal and way far away from our bodies. And to really see my body a part of that awakening was my aunt giving me Freya, and it's been the biggest blessing of my life to learn how to be a dog.
See if you can see this on the camera, maybe.
Oh my gosh, he's cute. That is so sweet. He's so sweet. What are you gonna name him, or what's his name?
His name is Kit. It's on there.
Kit. I can't see. Oh, Kit. Oh, that's a great name.
Maybe
Okay.
that's better.
Welcome, Kit. Very
Yeah,
cool.
that's the doggy, and they sent me a message in that today. They're also animal communicators.
Okay. Very
So
nice.
oh God, this is what a family I have all over the world.
Yes, you do.
They have they said that the dog can't wait for us to get there tomorrow.
Oh, that's so
Now
sweet.
that's just based on going to a new forever home.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Yeah.
this is the dog that was going to be put to
Put
sleep.
down. Yeah. Yeah. We talked about it at the beginning of last week's show, and it's true. They know. He knows. He already knows. They've told him. He knows. He's going to a forever home. He's
Yeah.
coming to you, and
Yep.
he's like, jackpot, bingo, and he gets to be loved the whole way through.
Oh yeah, and you know what? We are exactly the same way.
Yes, we are.
Did
Yes,
you
we
ever?
are.
Come on, I don't
We
even
all
have
want
to.
a forever home. I don't care what anyone says.
Every single one of us, Net, when we have, for instance, now I'm going to give you another for instance. If you have someone you can talk to, just like we're talking right now, that's a friend of yours or someone that's near you or somebody that you're compassionate to or for, that person, when they interact with you, it's the same thing. It's your forever home within yourself, within your heart,
Within your cells, within your energy. Yeah. That
within
connection
yourself. It's a connection that is so powerful. We don't realize how powerful it is until we realize or we say, I am.
I am. Nice. That is the show right there.
There you go.
I like how you brought in I am. I am that I am. I think we're going to talk about I am on the next show. I've done some research. Bob's really familiar with the work. And
Oh,
if
yeah.
anybody's out there listening and you would like to participate and call in and talk about your I am experience or what you've researched and how you've connected to it, put it on the calendar next Monday.
And
Do an I am show.
dial 605-472-5765, and your code to get in is 608060 #.
Yay!
Easy.
Thank you everybody for listening today. Thank you for Diana and calling and sharing that testimonial and being a part of the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Hey, we love everyone and the
We
world.
do. We do love everyone. I do.
Oh, yeah. I want to tell everybody, we're here on Mondays. That's right, Mondays. At 6 o'clock on the East Coast and 3 o'clock on the West Coast. Don't ever not give yourself a chance to be part of one of these conversations or this show. Just dial 605-472-5765. Access code to come in is 608060 and the #. That's all you got to do. And you're here. God bless y'all. Bob Charles.
Oh.